You see a lot of highway departments and things around here, like West Virginia, probably Pennsylvania, Virginia. They have them because they're so good at mowing on steep slopes. They have 8 tires on them. They almost kind of look like one of those Argos that Jim Shockey has up there, with a mower attachment on the front of it. Everything's in front of you. It's hydrostatic with your hand, and there's nothing on the back. You can put attachments on the back, but there's no like PTO driven stuff, I believe, on the back. It's really pretty good. We can take out 2.5 inch bottom olive stuff and things like that. But you've got a 65-inch mower deck in front of you, and then you've got this mower system. It sits low to the ground. It's not high like a tractor. It sits low to the ground, and then it has a weight transfer system where you raise your mower deck up. Depending on what kind of terrain you're going to be working on, you can change this from a 0 to a 4. If you put it on 4 for steep terrain, it takes 40% of the weight off of the front attachment and puts it into this spring system that runs back underneath the machine to make it that much safer. And it's a beast, man. It really is something.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast, the podcast for wildlife habitat management, hunting strategy, and land stewardship. And now, your host, Jared Van Hees.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast.
I'm your host, Jared Van Hees, and we are here to become better habitat managers. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Habitat Podcast. We have a great episode here today with my good friend, Habitat Podcast Patreon member, Scott Limer, out of West Virginia. So Scott lives near the Ohio-West Virginia line, owns some property a little bit further east in what I'd call the foothills. And this is an awesome podcast on how to do habitat management, hunt, and be successful in steep terrain, heavily timbered areas. I know a lot of our listeners from the surveys I've done over the years are Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. We have a lot of guys who hunt this type of terrain, own farms, this type of terrain, Kentucky. This is an awesome podcast where we get to know Scott's farm and his projects, and he's just an overall great friend of mine. He came to the Habitat Day in Michigan. I held the HP 40 this year, which was a very long drive for him and our buddy Jason to show up to. Guys, these guys are from, the stuff we're getting out of this is from our Patreon group, Habitat Podcast. And Scott is hosting the inaugural Habitat Podcast Patreon Hunt 2025. We're going to Scott's farm, who we talk about on this podcast, to hunt in 2 weeks. And we're going to do this again every year after. So if you're a Patreon member and you want to come hunt with us, talk habitat, see these farms that we talk about and work on and are a part of, virtually, you're more than welcome to join the Habitat Podcast Patreon. You can come on this hunt. That's what we're doing. So this is the very first one. We're getting it down. Here's the podcast coming at you here in just a sec. I do want to talk about a giveaway we're going to do. Ryan over at the Antler Anchor Company has given us some awesome shed and Euro mount brackets for a giveaway. I have one in my hand right here. This is to hold a Euro mount. It is stainless steel. It's got a nice set of engraved, so it's all like CNC machined out. The top is antlers. The bottom is an anchor, to anchor to the wall, but also like a boat anchor. I like boats. I like antlers. This is probably the coolest logo I've seen in a long time. This one here is meant to hold, like I said, a European mount, and then I have one on the wall behind me that holds sheds. So it's a very nice and cool way to hold your shed antlers on the wall. It looks very nice. I have some up at the cabin holding sheds at the Northern 70. And we're going to give some away. All you have to do is head on over to the Habitat Podcast YouTube channel and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, you're in the giveaway. I'll be drawing that here probably at the end of the month, late September, early October, and we'll announce the winner. I'll make a video on YouTube and tag that person who wins. We're going to send you a prize package full of Antler Anchor Company, mounts and products for free. So all you have to do is go to YouTube, type in Habitat Podcast, hit the subscribe button. We're putting every episode on YouTube. We're putting a lot of shorts on there, putting the podcast on there. Everything's on there, and we're trying to grow that. And for those of you who want to help us grow that, go subscribe. We're going to give you an awesome prize package from Antler Anchor Company. Guys, it's not too late. Get out there, shoot your bows, get your saddle gear ordered from Latitude, get ready to hunt. Season is here in many states already, and Nebraska's open. I have, a little under 2 weeks till Michigan opens. The HB 40 is looking good. Hope your guys' places are looking good as well. Remember to wear your safety harness this fall. See you next week at the Habitat Podcast. All right, guys, we're back. Another episode of the Habitat Podcast. Andy, what's up, homie?
Hey, buddy, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Football practice is done for the week, and we're sliding this podcast in with a good buddy. So I'm doing great at the moment. I'm probably gonna take a good hard sleep after this, but doing great. How you doing?
Doing well, man. We just we're in deer season, dude. I'm so excited. We started last weekend. Got Shane out in the blind. We did some. We hunted. Man, we hunted hard. We hunted all weekend, but it just nothing came close enough. So it went good. He got a little fidgety towards the end. He's not quite there, but he'll get there. He's only 9, So good. And then we're headed to doe camp in the morning.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. You're in the thick of it already. Well done. We have our good buddy, Mr. Scott Limer, on tonight. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
Thanks for finally hopping on.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta look. Well, somebody's having a really bad night. So
yeah.
Somebody's having a bad night. It looked like a bad wreck, but they forced us to go all the way around. And, I was only 1.5 miles from the house maybe and had to stop and turn around and go all the way back around. So hopefully everybody's okay.
Yeah, you're right. Somebody's having a bad night, but glad you made it. So thanks for hopping on. Let's do this. What we normally do. Let's paint a picture of who you are, where you're from, maybe how we met, and then we'll get into kind of the backstory of you and habitat work and your farm and the whole thing. So excited for this.
Yes. Well, good. Well, as you said, I'm Scott Limer. I grew up, born and raised in central West Virginia, pretty much about a half hour south of Morgantown. And went to WVU, got a degree in civil engineering. As you guys know, WVU, that's the home of the best college football coach in the country right now, Rich Rodriguez. So I'm sure you guys are glad to be gotten rid of that guy. But I live over in Parkersburg now, married, got 2 daughters in college. And my hunting property is in a little more central West Virginia, about an hour and a half east of where I'm at right now. So, but about a half hour or so south of where I grew up. So that's where the property's at. And we've got, like I said, we've got 450 acres down there that we control and manage. And, I grew up, cut my teeth on that, cut my teeth hunting there, and then I think, as I got a little older, I tested, started hunting in Ohio a little bit. And, life kind of kicked in with my girls and sports. And finally, when all the leases in Ohio I was hunting on were bought out, I kind of said, all right, time to just focus on West Virginia now. And then I inherited 2 nieces that came and lived with us. So I had 4 girls in this house, ages 13 through 18. And needed a lot of tree stand time, but didn't really have time for it. And so anyway, all of them are out of the house now. And so I'm actually, that's just kind of where it took me to, the Marco Polo group and the Patreon group and everything, and kind of diving back into getting the farm back in shape that I kind of had to neglect because I had, family, tend to. So, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoyed the friendship and all the knowledge that I feel like I'm taking more than I'm giving, but I really do enjoy it. So
yeah, that Patreon group we have is amazing, very resourceful, and hats off to you and thank you for all the steering of the ship you do in that group. Everybody's running around doing all their life stuff, and it's good to have guys like you and Bones that keep championing the ship there and keep that moving. And that's how we met, right? So I mean,
yeah,
you were
absolutely.
You've been a listener for a while,
And then you came to the Habitat Days and met
Mhm.
Andy and I for the first time, which was awesome. Thanks for
Yep.
coming.
Yes, I
And
enjoyed that thoroughly. I really enjoyed that.
that was a great time. How you're really in the mountains. How long has this farm, been, you said neglected it. Like, tell me the whole story of
Okay.
how you got into hunting and habitat work, and then where the farm came in, and the whole background.
So my dad grew up in that part of the country. That's where he grew up in. It's Gilmer County, West Virginia, close to Glenville State University. And he grew up there. He hunted that farm in the 70s because West Virginia really didn't have a lot of deer back in the 70s. I can remember my dad telling stories about, man, if you saw a track, you thought you were on something. This was holy crap, we've got something here. And he bought the first track of the farm in 1984. He bought it in 84. And so we've owned that part of it since 84. So we've been there for a while. And then, we kind of picked up some of the land that was around us as far as leasing and stuff like that, not necessarily purchasing. And, we dove, we've had it for quite a while, dove into food plots, QDMA. I was even a very small branch president here in this part of the state for QDMA way back when. So we were planting food plots. We were doing all kinds of stuff. And then, my daughters and my nieces were all about the same age. And, that older generation, my dad and those guys, it's food plots and that kind of, and even kind of management for that matter is just not really their forte. They want to see numbers and numbers of deer because they grew up not seeing numbers of deer. And so they don't want to shoot does. My dad hates. I got a whole group of guys that just won't shoot does. And so food plot stuff developed, and we had plots. We had some really good corn plots and stuff like that. And then, like I said, when the kids got to a certain age, just everything kind of took a back seat down there to what was going on in the family life. And then now here we are, put it like 2023, you kind of dive back into stuff and you're like, wow, I've got a lot of work to do, because, it's just the autumn olive has taken over. The invasives were really bad down there in certain parts of it. And then in 2023, we purchased an 112-acre tract. And then 2025, actually. 2023, we purchased 112 acres. And then this year in February, we purchased an additional 52 acres to add to it. Puts us probably around 290, close to 300. And, at this point, we used to have a huge camp. There used to be a lot of guys down there. But several have passed away. Several don't hunt anymore or moved away. And it's now pretty much myself and whoever I can talk into helping me and my 80-year-old dad. Yeah. So not that he can't do a few things, but his health's not great. So it's kind of on me. So that's kind of where the farm's at. We've got a house down there. House has been there for 15 years. So it's kind of nice to have. It's not roughing it. You'll see that there's no, I don't know if it's considered bougie, but it's not roughing it. Put it that way. It's Starlink and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. But we used to have a pretty rough trailer there. It was pretty bad. And when the girls wouldn't go down, we said we got to make a change because this is for the grandkids, and the grandkids aren't coming because of snakes and mice and everything else. So yeah, so we've dove back into the habitat. This year I've done a lot. Planted 150 trees. I've got 3.5 acres of food plots. I've been working on the invasives, stuff like that. So it's just kind of been hard at it, just one thing after another. And the bucket list, or the checklist of things that need to be done, you knock two off and four get added. You know how that goes. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, if it wasn't bougie, I don't think Andy would even show up. So I'm
Well,
glad it's pretty bougie.
there might be a
This
cooler.
coming from the guy at the log cabin.
There's
Oh,
I don't think you can get Zima in West Virginia. I don't think you
you're good there then.
I, hopefully, I don't know if Andy's seen that polo yet.
Oh no.
Yeah, got him.
Yep.
So yeah, so we with the Patreon group, we have a Marco Polo group, and that's where this all kind of stemmed from. We're going down there for a hunt in
2 weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks from today, we'll be there.
2 weeks from
Holy
today.
crap. Oh,
Actually,
man.
Chris and Bones will be coming into camp on Wednesday night. I'll be in there Wednesday night, and Chris and Bones. Chris is going to be in. He's coming in from
Yeah.
Texas. He's going to be in fishing, and so
Cool.
he's coming down Wednesday night. So we don't have a ton of stuff to set up, but they're like, "Hey, we're going to put us to work. Let's get after it." And I was like, "Okay." So everything should be running smoothly by the time you guys roll into camp.
Oh, I can't believe that's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
That just smacked me in the face, by the way.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're watching this on the video version, you just saw Andy and I go,
Oh shit.
2 weeks. Yeah, it seemed like just yesterday it was like 6 months away. We got plenty of time to plan and do things, and now it's here. Yeah. So
well, that's
It's
going to be amazing. Kind of back to the story. Tell us about you and your dad's background in habitat management, and maybe when you started doing anything on this piece. Like, how did you learn about how to do all this stuff, and when did you start implementing anything at all? What was the first project?
well, I guess my dad is a big, he wants to clear trails. My dad, he's the chainsaw. He was the chainsaw guy. Give me a chainsaw and a tractor, and I'll go around. I'll clear all the trails and stuff. But I kind of dove headfirst into QDMA, right around 2000. I think that's kind of when it was really it took off kind of in West Virginia in this area. And kind of, so we were doing, we were practicing deer management from that side of things, trying to plant food plots, trying to do, anything that we could do to improve the habitat then. But I will say, my knowledge of I kind of felt, like I said, when I got into this group, I really felt like I didn't know nearly what I thought I knew. And I've learned so much in the Marco Polo group. I really, really have. So I've kind of just dove in head first, between this and working with the NRCS and, just there's so many resources nowadays that they just didn't have back in, the early 2000s. I mean, you can actually become almost an expert in anything on YouTube. But there's so many resources available. I just wish I was a little bit younger, to take advantage of it at a little younger age. But dove headfirst into it. I've even reconnected with a relative that he's a retired wildlife biologist from the state of Virginia. He's worked with Dr. Craig Harper and all these guys. So in the springtime, he's going to come down to my property and walk the property and everything else for me. Just another set of eyes. His focus is grouse. But I would say on my farm, grouse would be the lowest hole in the bucket. I think what you do for grouse will help turkey, will help deer. I've kind of got to. It seemed like I probably, at least in the Marco Polo group, I focus more. I'm probably talking about turkeys more than anybody, I think. And I don't know, really kind of took a shine to them here in the last 10, 12 years. And I enjoy turkey hunting. I really do. But I see you can help both. Yeah, by improving, you're going to help both turkeys and deer. So anyway, I'm still learning, but to me, it's been, I don't have any, like I said, I'm an engineer by trade, so I don't have any, formal stuff. It's just reading and learning, going to seminars, coming to habitat days, things of that nature, just trying to pick up nuggets of information everywhere I can to kind of be better at it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think that QDMA was a huge deal about that time. They had the forums online with all the guys. That's kind of how I got bit in this whole habitat thing, along with Al and Brian and Sam, some of the old crew. Yeah, so I can see how that probably sparked a lot of interest in a lot of folks. When you were part of that and you were learning about all this stuff, was it easy to take the stuff you were learning and seeing and apply it to West Virginia where you're at? I mean, you're in the mountains. You look on X, buddy. We're gonna be burning some gasoline up and down those hills to get to your place. Like, tell like, is it easily applicable? Same thing we talk about all the time, or like, tell me about that.
From a deer management perspective, it was. I think it was quick to see when you would harvest adequate amount of does, and you would let smaller bucks live, and then try to give them as much food and cover as possible. You saw results. The problem we had, and I think we still have to a degree in West Virginia, is hunter management. I think that's where the issue comes in West Virginia. There's still a lot of it's brownest down. People are shooting, and the regulations are getting better. The West Virginia Deer Association, which is our form of National Deer Association. They've been instrumental. And, last year was the first year we went from a 3-buck state to a 2-buck state. And that it has to help. I think it'll absolutely help. But nobody on our farms killed 2 bucks in 20 years. But we just manage ourselves. I think it's very possible. I think the genetics in West Virginia are better than people realize. But the hunters have never just allowed. We're shooting 1.5-year-old deer. You're not going to see 3.5, 4.5. They're not going to realize their potential. I mean, they don't realize it really at 3.5 or 4.5, but they're way better than 1.5 years. And I think it's coming around. I see West Virginia is making strides. We're never going to be Iowa, but I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is just to maximize your potential. So
yeah, what are the tracts of land like around you? Are they all big parcels or are they like smaller parcels?
You see a lot of 40 to 125, 40 acres to 125 acres. You don't see a lot of 1,000-acre parcels like you see out west, and stuff like that. You just don't see, there's not a lot of agriculture. We don't have, now we are a bait state. I always joke and say we turn into an ag state first week of gun season because there's so much corn on the ground. But there's just not a lot of agriculture. So you don't have farmers having big tracts of land. You've got a lot of small people, small time farmers and stuff. So it's not uncommon to see someone that has 3 to 500 acres, but it's more common to see less than 100.
Okay.
Put it that
I
way.
would I would say, I mean, I'm not pro bait, I'm not against bait, but I don't have a problem with bait by any means.
Yeah.
It's another tool in the tool bucket.
Yeah. What I don't like is in West Virginia, bear season, turkey season, and deer season will run concurrent. You can bait for deer, but you can't bait for bear and turkey. Now, I'm okay with not bait. I just think it needs to be consistent. I think I'm not a fan of the way the regulations in West Virginia are set up, but no one asked me, and I know that. Nobody cares what I think. I think they're vague and if you're not careful, you can get yourself in trouble. We try to be as careful as we can.
Absolutely.
So, but I don't shoot bears. So I just, to me they're big coons. That's all they are. They're big raccoons. So, but there are more bears in this state than I have ever seen. The population's exploded in this state.
Wow.
So
awesome.
I think I posted on the polo group there. I had a sow and 3 cubs on the camera at one point, and they were just eating that minerals up like crazy, So, but anyway, it's. I don't think you talked about us being in the mountains stuff. For you guys, it might be in the mountains, but for me, where I lived and how I've grown up, I don't view it as the mountains. You get over around Elkins and that area over where the ski resorts and stuff are. I look at that stuff as pretty steep. The southern coal fields. We've got 4 bow only counties in West Virginia in the southern part of the state. Some great hunting down there. There's a 1-buck limit. It's tough hunting. It's too tough for me. I'll just be honest with you. I've been hunting out of box blinds too long. Might as well go hunt Dall. It's like hunting Dall sheep down there. But I've got some friends that hunt down there, and they're very successful at it. There's some giant deer down there. They're killing lots of Pope and young deer down there every year. And so no bow only. Couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Let's transition into some habitat stuff here. How's your logging coming with your logger? I know this has been like the talk of the polo group of, I think I lost 3 loggers this year. Supposedly have a 4th on the way. So how about you? How's things going?
I guess you can't actually lose a logger until you have a logger.
True.
So I technically haven't lost a logger. I've got a consulting forester that I'm using, and he's great. I've actually developed a great friendship with him. He and I are good friends. I think, Jared, you've met him, talked to him on the phone at least at some point. But we just can't seem to get anybody to bite. They want to, it's like, I think the one logger had a heart attack, and I mentioned that one time, and he couldn't get to it. And he was supposed to be the big white oak guy, and we've got a lot of white oak and good mature white oak. And then we've got another logger that's supposedly on the hook, but it's just like, now here we are. we're on deer season. So personally, for me, I'm okay with it maybe waiting a little bit, at least maybe till December. I would be okay just to get through maybe October and November. I've been on both sides of it. When I look at it as like, if they started now, they would be done by the time spring green up came, and I could be in there working before I started having to fight all the growth. And I think that would be an advantage. But there's also deer season too, and I'd hate to hope my place all. We're timbering 175 acres of the hundred of. We're not timbering the original track. It was timbered back in 1998, but there was really not a lot of habitat intent to it. I wasn't even really involved. It was my dad. He kind of did it. He wanted a pond. He wanted some infrastructure, and that's kind of what we did. He wanted some roads to go around so we could get around through there. Some stuff moved out. I think he put an 18-inch limit on them, but 20 inches on the ridge because he liked those big white oaks up on the ridge, and he's like, "You're not taking them." So, and what, like I said, wasn't a lot of habitat-minded stuff. This time around, we're gonna cut pretty hard. It's habitat first, money second, infrastructure third. That's kind of the priority list we've set on the timber project, and been working with the consulting forester. I think we've got a great plan. We're going to be putting in some food plots. They're going to be, one going to be 3 acres, 3 to 3.5 acres, and there's going to be 2 others that are smaller. And then on that, we were talking before that it still shows oftener on the Onyx, but they're going to run a lot. There's no place really to put an actual food plot on there, but they're going to run a road midway up the skid road, and it's going to go from one end of that property clear to the other end. And I mapped it. It's going to be a mile long as it runs around through there. And that's going to be a mile long of clover, oats, and chicory all the way through there. Or maybe it's just going to be, whatever we choose to do in the spring, but that's going to be the main food plot all the way through there. We're going to widen them in places we can. There's going to be some places, kind of in the ravines and stuff, you're not going to be able to widen them, but I'm going to widen some areas where we can and kind of let some of that grow back in the early successional stuff along the edge. That'd be good brooding and habitat cover, and probably a good place for fawns to hide and stuff too. So they can go right from all the cover that is provided from the down trees into the early successional habitat, into the clover and back in, work their way, and they can walk for a mile down and back. So that's the plan. We'll see if it ever happens.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. And with the terrain and, I guess, would you call it the foothills of Appalachia, or what would you call it? If it's not mountains, what would you
Yeah,
call it?
it's probably about right. I mean, to me, it's kind of like, we just say going up the Highland, going up on the hill. We just call them hills. We don't, we look at the mountains over in like the other eastern part of the state, the southern part of the state. But it's like you said, it can wind you. Four wheelers and e-bikes are a preferred method of travel. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Some people have no problem with it. Short legs. Four wheelers are kind of nice, but we use bikes just to kind of cut the hill and then work our way around, but there's some terrain to it. We got all of our places. The fields are all down low. And then of course we've got a road system that goes all through it, but then it's benched all the way up to hardwood ridges that go all the way around. And the ridge system, a lot of times they connect and have low gaps and stuff like that. But it's generally benched and then goes into a bowl, and the ridge systems run clear around, anywhere from 800 to 1,200 yards of ridge that goes all the way around in some spots. So
Nice.
And they're navigable. I mean, you get up on there, it's not like you're not like this. If you fall out of the tree on the uphill side, you fall 6 feet and you fall 30 on the other. It's not like that. You can get in some flat spots and stuff like that, and it's not that bad. So, but
Okay.
That's coming from somebody that grew up doing it. It's somebody comes from the Midwest. You're like, whoa, this is up and down. But I don't think of it as that bad.
We're gonna test those face-off e-bikes down there. That's for sure.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we are. I think I'm gonna bring a helmet though, for sure.
You should wear a helmet. You should probably wear a helmet all the time.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, Scott, have you been to Portsmouth, Ohio?
Yeah, I had a lease over there for 4 years.
I've hunted that area quite a bit. Is it pretty similar to that, or would you say
Uh,
that's bigger?
Similar. I'd say we're a little steeper, but not much.
Okay,
A little
okay.
steeper, but not much. I mean, there's some areas over there in Portsmouth that it's got some pretty good roll to it. Our lease was in Lucasville.
Oh yeah, where the prison's at.
Yeah, you remember the murders? You remember the whole family that got wiped out 5 or 6 years ago, where they went from trailer to trailer and killed like the entire family?
Tell that story because I remember hearing bits and pieces of it, and Corey and I had a lease down that way at
Yeah,
that time.
well, it just I was actually off the lease at that time. That was like the year that I dropped off the lease because kids, with my wife working full time and my kids being knee deep and seemingly everything, I kind of had to walk away from the lease. But I think it was drug related, I believe, and
Probably.
they killed 10 to 12 people in one night in like four different trailers. They went and just, I mean, they left the kids. The kids, there were, I think they found a couple babies laying in bed with dead parents. I mean, it was bad.
Wow.
It was brutal. It was really brutal, and it took them a while to figure it out. I mean, I think they went 6 months to a year before they arrested anybody. But one of those trailers was on the path to the lease where we were at. I mean, it was not that, it wasn't that far. I mean,
Oh
Oh
boy.
wow.
yeah. I mean, I always joke and say, I mean, Ohio's a beautiful state. I love it. But anybody in Ohio that makes fun of West Virginia has never been to that part of Ohio. So, because there's not a lot of differences. Everybody over there has dogs and horses, you know. So it's never seen like, you know. But it's beautiful country, and there's giant deer. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's big timber country over there too, right?
mhm.
A lot of
It's-
meat paper ground and
yep,
whatnot.
yep.
Are your loggers concerned at all about the topography and what equipment are they going to be hauling in there?
To be honest with you, I don't know. The best answer I
Okay.
could give, I could make something up, but I truly just don't know. I think they're used to it. They're logging all over this part of the state, so I don't imagine that they're too concerned. And the way our property lays, we've got pretty good road system that's there. They seemingly had everything kind of figured out. It's like, you know, these are going to be the landing sites and stuff like that. They didn't seem to think of have that kind of problem. You know,
Okay.
one picking up that 52 acres this past spring was crucial because it was going to cost us a lot of money to cut. We've got the story that we got was this 25 acres back in there that we could call it back 25. Um, it was purchased by the guy. He got it. He bought it at the courthouse steps. He got it on taxes, the delinquent taxes. He paid them and got them. And that's how we ended up with them at first. And we're thinking, we can't get up into this property. It's landlocked. You know, I mean, or you can walk up over, I mean, you can't walk up, you got to climb up over as steep as terrain as we have on our property. But by purchasing that other tract, it just connects everything perfectly. And so that's going to save us $5,000 in dozer work, which
Mm,
is really, and I think we got a pretty good price on it too. So it's like we made out on this one. So, and I think we're going to get as much out of the timber as we paid for the property. So,
okay. And sticking on the terrain focus here, whenever I was in Southern Ohio, I seemed to do better the higher up I would go. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this before we have our Patreon hunt down there for all the other guys who are going to be down there, but is there any, you said your fields are in the bottom, your plots are in the bottom. Have you found any merit to that or where do you find success? You shot
high,
some deer out there.
high.
Yeah.
They seem to be in the one particular spot that no one will get to see. No. But that spot, it's close to a thick. It's close to an area that's been timbered, but it's high. It's high on the ridges. They stay high where the larger oaks are at. Right now we've got a pretty good acorn crop this year, and I think you're always going to have success on the mature deer high. Now, maybe there's plenty of people in West Virginia that says they disagree with that, but at least in my area, anything that I consider mature, I've killed high. I can't think of a mature deer that I've killed low, to be honest with you. Now, there's does in the field all the time. That's a target-rich environment down there. You can shoot does, but I tend to go high. So that's just where I found my success at. So
Okay. Yeah, I think everybody's itching to put a doe on the buck pole down there. So
that make me happy.
um yeah. So yeah, speaking of that, how many does are on your place, or I guess a better question would be, what's the deer population like?
Well, that's going to be something I'm going to have you guys. I mean, I kind of have a guess. I'm saying my target this year is probably going to be 10 to 12 at least. And most people would probably say you could probably kill 25 and you probably wouldn't hurt a thing. But I'm going to say at least 10 to 12. And if we go over, I'll be okay with that. We did not last year. Year before that, we did great. But there should be, I've seen plenty of does. There's no shortage of does. I would tell everybody, if you've got a itchy trigger finger, let her go, because there are plenty of them, as far as that goes. And there's plenty of them down low too. You get them feeding out. Then, I got pictures today. I was, sending some to Bones, of them feeding the carbon load today. And, I've got them all over my turnips as well too. The vitalized turnips, the brassicas mix, they're all over that. But there's plenty of space. We've got plenty of space. I've got 3 clover plots up on the hill. I've got, what I try to do for safety and maybe convenience is I put my annuals down low and my perennials up high, and it just saves me from having to take equipment on the hill, because it's dangerous to take equipment on the hill. And I think it's one thing to run a tractor around a field down low, but when you've got it, we got older equipment. It's not like we've got brand new stuff. So I'm a little uneasy, taking tractors at times up on the hill, because you never know when there's a dip in the road or a track. It could be anything. That's another reason why we bought that Ventrac to kind of attack the invasive stuff, is because if you wreck that thing, you were in a bad spot. You did something you shouldn't have done. You were somewhere you shouldn't have been. It's super safe, and I really enjoy that thing. But I've got sheets for you guys, for everybody to come down. Observation logs.
Oh, homework.
Yeah.
Yes.
Homework. Oh. I don't do homework.
Well, it's not.
I've been doing homework all damn week already.
It's not graded.
Okay.
But it's. I found Mississippi State had a deer observation log, kind of in an Excel printout format, and I printed them out. I'm going to ask everybody that comes down. You guys, I've got some. There's a program in West Virginia called Governor's One Shot, where I have a couple people in camp to try to shoot some does. I got some kids coming down to shoot some does, plus my kids, everybody else. Everybody's getting an observation log, and just try to. I mean, this year I'll have more people in camp than I've ever had, so I feel like it's a great time to kind of pick everybody's brain on what they're seeing, and that way kind of wrap my head around really, really what we have. You can kind of look in the woods and see the browse line and see that we have plenty. Yeah, we have plenty of deer. Filling freezers is a good thing. So, I have no problem shooting does. So, and who knows, maybe we even have something for somebody who kills the biggest one. We killed one a couple of years ago in the gun season, and that sucker field dressed at 133 pounds.
Ooh,
she was a tank. Yeah,
that's a monster.
Yeah, she was big. She was a big one. He didn't want to shoot one, and he was finally, when that came in, he said, "I can't let that one go. She's too big. I got to shoot her." So he said, "I know she'll be the big one, so I'm going to shoot it." So, but yeah, plenty of those. I think there's plenty of deer. I think West Virginia is pretty high on the deer per square mile chart. I think we're probably in the 50s, 50 to 60, somewhere in that range. Now EHD is getting bad in this part of the state, at least. So that may, it's been bad, and it's been really bad in this, and where I live, not so much where I hunt, but where I live, it's really bad. So you heard Al talk about it. I think I mentioned to you there last week about the actual Parkersburg. He referenced Parkersburg. That's my hometown. It's terrible around here. It's really bad. So, and Southeast Ohio.
Are you thinking about saddle hunting, but haven't taken the plunge yet? Well, I can assure you, LatitudeOutdoors.com is right where I would start if I were you. I got my brand new Method 3 2-panel saddle this year, the most comfy saddle on the market, ready to go this fall. Also, guys, I've been rocking the Method 2 for years. Method 3 came out. It couldn't get any better? Well, it did. This thing is insane. Check it out, LatitudeOutdoors.com, but don't forget the Profile Saddle platform and their brand new Ranger 33 packs. I run the Ranger 22 right now, and I'm definitely looking at the Ranger 33 to add to my arsenal for this fall. Check them out, guys. Great people, a great company, Michigan-based, and they're already whacking bucks this season. LatitudeOutdoors.com.
PackerMax.com. Have you guys used a PackerMax cultipacker yet? I know that being the first partner of the Habitat podcast, I've been using one for over 5 years now. Guys, cultipacking is one of the highest rated and highly overlooked part of your food plot system. It helps maintain soil moisture, keeps it in the soil, improves seed to soil contact when you press those seeds into the dirt, and ensures superior seed germination for all seed types. I do not plant a food plot without cultipacking. Guys, Packer Max and Lincoln over there, great company, great people. They have 5 different cultipackers available at packermax.com, and they also have a roller crimper combo attachment for the Packer Max. So that's what I use. I can crimp, I can pack, I can do everything with my Packer Max crimper combo. They even came out with a 6-foot unit at packermax.com. Guys, be sure to utilize this piece of equipment when you're planting food plots to get the best success in your seed germination. Check them out, packermax.com. We have a code HPC25 at checkout to save money.
So what kind of what do you got for like buck pole cutting station? What's kind of your plan if we're gonna shoot 9,000 does? What's is there like a hunters for the hungry program or anything around there? Or
That's what I was going to call Monday. There's a food bank about 25-30 minutes away that they may take it. I'll have to find the right butcher to take them to the processing place.
Yep.
Because I know that one shot program that I work with, they donate everything to a processor in that town, Weston, and they donate all the meat to the Mountaineer Food Bank, which feeds the shelters and stuff like that all over the state. Basically, similar to Hunters Helping the Hungry is basically what we have a buck pole. I was said it seems like when you have 2 or 3 projects, you check off and you add 4 more. The one project that I'm not going to get done is the new buck pole for the farm. We do have one you can hang 3 on, and we've got a building I'm going to work on, kind of finalizing a few things. We've got a place you can go in with some stainless steel tables and stuff and work on things and cut some stuff up. And so you could probably hang at least 4 deer at one time. And then I've got one of those HME things you put in your trailer hitch. Crank the deer up. So I take it out to Nebraska with me when I go out there. So we could 5. We could do 5 at once, and that's enough to keep us busy. So.
I like it.
Is there a way to cool things down, or what's your plan there? Walk-in cooler, get them skinned and get them in a cooler. Right now the weather looks like it's going to be a little toasty in the evenings.
Yes. So we have a building there that stays pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
So we might be able to put some fans in there. If we have to, there's a store up there. We can go up and get some ice and put in the cavity if we have to, or if we have to just quarter them up. I've got 3 big coolers down there. We could quarter them up and put them in coolers and stuff like that. I had plans to put an air conditioner and put one of those cool bot things on to kind of make it. But like I said, that would have probably come after the butt pole, and those things just didn't happen. So. A lot of projects.
There's always projects.
Always something to do. So
hopefully with 7 or 8 of us down there, we can get some stuff knocked off the list for you midday and whatnot too. So
yeah. I'll try to make a list. If you get talking to my dad, don't ask him. He'll put you to work, man. He'll have you guys running weed eaters, chainsaws, and everything else. So.
Well, there's something you mentioned there. A Ventrac. You're the first person I've heard that term from. Okay. Tell me about, and tell the listeners about what that is and why you got one.
So you guys probably don't see them a lot where you're at because the terrain probably doesn't, you don't need it because of the terrain. You see a lot of highway departments and things around here, like West Virginia, probably Pennsylvania, Virginia. They have them because they're so good at mowing on steep slopes. They actually have a weight transfer. They have 8 tires. People have probably seen them somewhere. They have 8 tires on them. They almost kind of look like one of those Argos that Jim Shockey has up there with a mower attachment on the front of it. Everything's in front of you. It's hydrostatic with your hand, and there's nothing on the back. You can put attachments on the back, but there's no like PTO driven stuff, I believe, on the back. Now they're pretty proud of their attachments and what they charge for them. So right now we just kind of have what they call a tough cut mower, but it's really pretty good. We can take out 2.5 inch automotive stuff and things like that. But you've got a 65-inch mower deck on front of you, and then you've got this mower system. It sits low to the ground. It's not high like a tractor. It sits low to the ground, and then it has a weight transfer system where you raise your mower deck up. You can, depending on what kind of terrain you're going to be working on, you can change this from a 0 to a 4. If you put it on 4 for steep terrain, it takes 40% of the weight off of the front attachment and puts it into this coil system that runs, the spring system that runs back underneath the machine to make it that much safer. And it's a beast, man. It really is something. My cousin has one, and he brought his down. He actually had a sneaky little plan because he knew that Ventrac was having a big sale on them. And he's like, if I can bring mine down, sell them on mine, I'm going to sell them mine, take that money and go buy a new one. But I did my research and found out I can get a new one for just a few $1,000s more than what he was going to sell it for. So he was a little irritated at me for that. He's like, I didn't think you were going to pick up on that, but that's a good family buddy right there. Yeah. So.
Well, you can't.
But,
Hey, you gotta try. You gotta try.
That's right.
but
That's
they make so many attachments for them, from leaf blowers to stump grinders. They've got a flail mower, Andy. I know you're big on the flail mowers. They have flail mowers. They've got all finish mowers. They've got all kinds of stuff for them. Now they're a little slow. They're not speedy like a 0 turn mower with a finish. If you got a finish mower on the front of it, you can do better time on a 0 turn. But I would say in moderates type stuff that people are brush hogging, I can keep up with them on a tractor as long as they're not hammering down or don't have a huge brush hog on the back. But on the hill, when you're cutting autumn olive stuff and you're going in and out and back around and stuff, there's no way someone could keep up with me. I know there's much better operators than me, but no, I don't think a tractor could keep up with me because, first of all, you got to turn around. Your neck's hurting from turning around all day long, trying to watch your attachment, back in, pull forward, back in, pull forward. This thing, it's just, you're going forward. And I think it's just safer that way going forward. I think it's just safer going forward. I love the thing. I love that machine. So
I got a funny story about one of those. I had a client that had one in their garage, and I was in there looking at it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And he told me Ventrac. And then he told me all about what you said. He goes, well, you got to go drive it. I'm like, no, I don't need to drive it. Well, he had me drive it on the steep hill there. I couldn't believe how safe that thing felt on like a 30-degree angle, just going sideways. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. You don't feel like you're going to go over ever.
No, you're, like I said, you're low to the ground, and there's you've got so many points of contact. I even used it as a cul-de-packer because there was none raffled off at the Habitat Day. That was going to be my big.
Hey, Lincoln was supposed to show up. Yeah.
No, but I used it as a cul-de-packer for in the spring with my Nitro Boost and the carbon load, everything. And I think it does. I mean, like I said, you've got 8 tires going across there, and there's just a lot of surface area hitting the ground. So I'm sure, like I said, a cul-de-packer, a Packer Max is probably better. But
I mean, if I was looking at my food plots not too long ago and where my tire tracks where I have way better growth than I do because I got better seed soil contact. So I don't think tires are a bad deal at all.
No. I mean, I've done it for years with 4-wheelers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I can't say enough about it without sounding like I'm getting paid by them. I really, really enjoy that thing. We've had it a year. I think I got 52 hours on it in the first year. So my wife doesn't know that, but she probably realizes that I've spent a lot of time. I've spent more on the Ventrac than I've been working on projects around here. So
careful, Scott. Careful.
Yeah.
No, they are very cool looking. They just look, that weight divided out lower the ground, 8 tires. It's not what I pictured when you said 8 tires. They're 2 and 2 stacked next to each other in the front and the back. I figured more closer in, kind of like a dually truck. They're way outside. So
Yes, they
that's
are.
pretty
But
neat. That's pretty neat.
you can take them off. You can take the outside tires off. I see a lot of people do that in the wintertime when they're
Mm,
plowing driveways and stuff like that. Last year would have been the time for me to get a blade. When we talked about that, I was like, man, I probably could have paid. We had a lot of snow in the month of January here in West Virginia, unseasonably or unusual for West Virginia to have 12 to 16 inches of snow, especially in this area. And we pretty much had snow on the ground for 6 weeks straight. And probably could have paid that sucker off if I'd had a blade for it and going around and cleaning up everybody's driveways. So, but probably got frostbite. But I would have probably got it paid off.
hey, come on up here. Bring that thing up here. We'll put you to work.
Yeah, they're a
You
lot of fun.
know.
Yeah.
So what on that same idea, what other tools are your go-to habitat tools in West Virginia on your farm?
Chainsaw. We're mostly timber, so I've got that chainsaw. We've got a bunch of them. You'll see. My dad maybe is a little bit of a collector of chainsaws. We've got more chainsaws than we have people to run them. But with so many trees, and it doesn't take much. It seems like every time you go back down to the farm, you've got trees down, everything else. So you're constantly clearing trails. And I'm going to be doing this coming spring. I'm going to be doing a lot of timber stand improvement. There's a couple areas I'm going to go in and get after. We're going to do some girdling, some hinging, and stuff like that. So, and of course, the herbicides and stuff you're going to need for that. But I think chainsaw, my Ventrac and my chainsaw are probably 1 and 2, depending on the time of the year. And no particular, they can invert, at different times, but those are the two. That chainsaw. Everybody in West Virginia's got a chainsaw. Almost, it's the point when you go on the hill all the time, you just have to take chainsaw with you because something's down somewhere. So, or a nice pole saw.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's starting to become more common in my world, as well. First of all, when you own more property, the list gets bigger automatically. Then you have things like all timber, which I do and you do for the most part, and then it's the ice storm that hits.
Oh
It's
gosh,
like
yeah.
son of a bitch. I got 3 or 4 saws now
Mm-hmm.
just to have, and you never know when you're gonna need it. If you had a number 3 on that list, curious to hear what that would be.
I had number 3.
And we didn't prep Scott for any of these questions, so we're just throwing them under the bus
No,
here.
this is kind of like alternate rapid fire alternate version.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't you worry. Maybe it's
probably a
maybe
pole
it's
saw.
the hammock for the naps.
Well, there's that. Yeah. So, when it's nice and quiet, there's nobody down there. It's hard to stay at it from daylight to dark, because there's nobody saying you got to keep going. You got other crap to do.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But I like my pole
Pole
saw as
saw?
well too.
Okay.
Pole saws are pretty handy. Constantly, like I said, we're clearing trails, we're doing things. So, I'm short. You guys know that. So, anytime you can get a little bit more reach is always a good thing. So,
Okay. I like it. Long-term vision for your farm. If you had to fast forward time, which kind of does it by itself automatically, 10 years, what's your farm gonna look like? And what would you want it to look like?
what I would want it to look like. So, I think what I see now is, in my opinion, there's not a lot of diversity. Um, and something that really kind of kicked me into gear from what we saw last winter with all the snow, is that there's just not enough. Sometimes with the deer population, there's not enough to go around. So that really spurred on the timbering. The timbering is going to create a lot. We're going to be removing 85 to 90% of the canopy. It's going to be pretty aggressive, and it's going to create road systems for us. So I think the goal would be to have balance around the whole farm, from annuals and grains to, clover, especially high clover and chicory on the, up. I'm doing a lot of tree planting, trying to screen things off, as far as that goes, in certain areas. And you guys will see that, where I'm trying to screen and just try to give them more cover, cover and food. I think that's what they need. And also we're going to put a pond in. We're going to put a nice big pond in here within the next year or so. So we've
Okay.
got one small pond, but we need a good fishing pond as well. I've got one daughter, my youngest daughter. She loves to hunt. She's the killer. I think a lot of times the youngest kids are the killers, and just inherently. But my older daughter, she's hunted before. She's been with me, but she likes to fish. She doesn't like to kill things, so she can catch them and release them, and take a picture and smile and let them go back. So she deserves a pond down there. So that's going to be something we're going to do, and it'll serve multiple purposes as far as that goes. Stuff like that. But I think it's diversity. I think there's just a lot of timber. And I just don't think the food is there, the year-round food source. And I think the goal is to diversify that over the next 5 to 10 years.
And are you gonna kind of segment this in your mind, or compartmentalize your property to offer 40 acres of food, water, cover, the next 100 acres? Like, are you doing it that way, or are you thinking more of a grand one parcel thing? What's your mind go to when I ask that question?
Well, I think with the timber project taking up just a little more than half, and then I've just recently enrolled the original track into the NRCS. So I think I'm going to be able, it may not be like 40 here, 40 there, 40 there, but it may be half this way, half that way. We've got the part that we just rolled in the NRCS. There's a lot of invasives on that stuff. There's a lot of autumn olive there. There's a lot of work to be done there. And but it's been timbered in the last 20 years. The part that we're actually having timbered, like my forester said, he said, you've got in that one little area, he said, you probably got $30,000 worth of timber laying on the ground because part of it hasn't been timbered in 80 years. So it's big timber that's got to come out. There's not a lot of understory in that area. So got to thicken overall, we're going to be thickening the place up. I guess where the invasives are, we're going to be clearing it out, but I think it'll eventually thicken back up in a different manner.
With natives, yeah.
So yeah, so the fields are down low. That's where I'm planting pretty much the annuals and stuff like that. Stuff's easy to get to, but it'll probably be half and half. That's kind of how I'm going to be working. And they're going to be in different stages. So I think that's going to kind of hopefully help me stay focused. It's not going to cut any work off of me, but at least give me I can only do certain stuff on one side and certain stuff on the other side as far as that goes. So, because the way the road system runs, it's kind of a V or a U, probably a U because it's a little more gradual. And then we own on both sides of that U and in all of the middle of the U. So, but part of that U in the middle is going to be timbered and part of it's not going to be timbered. So, I'm going to have probably just like different worlds between the two sides of the farm. Because when you take out 85 to 90% of the canopy, a lot's going to change in that area quickly.
Oh man, my face is just lighting up when I heard you say 85 to 90%. I'm just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
A
big thing's going to be the guys that we hunt with, trying to keep them from crying because they're just used to seeing it. And I think it's going to be tough. They're going to,
it will be.
It's because you take 80-year-old guys, they spent 50 years on this property looking at this stuff. And then all of a sudden, where in the heck did all the trees go? So it'll be a little shocking, I think, not necessarily to me. It probably will be to some degree, but I know there's a purpose behind it. There's a method to the madness. So, and then I just said, give it 3 to 5 years. In 3 to 5 years, it's going to look completely different. So, and as I said, there's a lot of oaks. We've got a lot of oaks. We have a lot of hickory and a lot of soft maple and stuff too. So a lot of that stuff, the maple's getting cut a little harder. So good. It's down to like 14 inches for the soft maple, 16 inches for everything else. So, but
that's awesome.
I don't know if that awesome. Answers the question exactly.
Well, I think we'll know more soon, right? Yeah. So we're going down there. I'm sure we're going to record a podcast at our Patreon deer camp in West Virginia, Scott's place. And I'm, sure this will be the last time we'll be on the show. So I just kind of want to set the stage in my brain for when I go down there and the listeners, and then when we're talking about it, we'll have more of an idea.
Yes.
What's going on? We're painting a good picture.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this, and then I'll toss it to Andy for a deer camp style podcast question. If you could give one piece of advice to landowners in West Virginia, what would it be? Habitat wise.
Cut trees. There's a lot of trees in West Virginia. And that's the beauty of the state, especially this time of year. You guys are going to have a pretty drive down in a couple of weeks. It's
Yeah, we will.
nothing you guys aren't used to. You're probably gonna be a little bit sick too from some of the roads, but you probably need to cut considerably more than you think because I think you can walk through most, and it's generational. I think like my father's generation, they like the state park look. Where there's deer all over the
It's
place.
beautiful. I get it.
It's beautiful, but it doesn't. It's like I think the term biological desert is kind of really what it is. There's just nothing down low for anything, and we see that that's pretty much a constant through a lot of our property. There's just not a lot in the understory. We have this huge overstory, and the canopy's completely closed. People need to cut trees, and and I do see a push with the early successional habitat in West Virginia as well too. Starting to see some people talk more and more about that. The NRCS is pretty involved with that kind of work as they are. So there seems to be a good push on that right now. So that will just help everything from the grouse to the turkeys and everything else. So cut more trees.
Cut. Cut more, man. I'll tell you what, I wish I would have learned that years and years ago. Yeah. You cannot cut too much. I really, really believe that.
Yeah, everything just grows back so fast.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it just, like I said, I know in 3 to 5 years that property, I mean, it's going to look like a bomb went off on the initial cutting. It's going to look shocking, but in 3 to 5 years, I think it's going to be, as long as I can stay managing it and stay on top of it, and that it's going to require a lot of work, but and then we're going to slowly work the NRCS programs in on that too. When the NRCS agent was down there, he's like, "We're going to start your farm, half your farm in a program, and then as it develops, we're going to, and then everything kind of. There's no sense in putting 175 acres in it that's going to be timbered, and in 6 months to 10 years or whenever they get down there. So, you just never know when they're going to be there, but there's no sense in doing that. But once I'm sure invasives will take over. We do have a lot of stilt grass. We have a lot of autumn olive. He pointed out some tree of heaven. I didn't think I had any tree of heaven, and he pointed it out. And he said, once you see one, you can't unsee them. You're going to see them everywhere. And I was just looking at a picture that I posted of the platform that I was building. There's tree of heaven in the background. I'm like, I've got to do that on Sunday now too. I got to take that sucker out. So yeah. So cut more trees.
All right, Andy, what you got?
Man, I gotta, me, I gotta ask a deer camp question. Scott, I want to get us, kind of paint a picture of your camp, what it's been like. I want a good story of like either a harvest or just an experience, maybe hunting with your dad or your kids or something. A good deer camp story that comes to your mind, the first one that comes to your mind. And that's brought to you by Anchor Antler Company.
So
Ooh, nice.
I've got a really good story. Our deer camp has changed quite a bit over the years. 25 years ago, we had anywhere from 10 to 13 guys in camp. Now it's 4. It's me, a guy that's about my age, and our 2 dads. And those 2 guys hunt 3 days and they're gone. So I kind of have to manufacture my deer camps now, which I'm getting 1 in 2 weeks. I've got a couple buddies that come down. We shoot does. We call it Bros for Does weekend, so we shoot some does and stuff. But I'll tell you, one of the best deer camp stories, one of the traditions we had when we had everybody there was, gun season has always been, it's 2-week season, but the week of Thanksgiving is the first week of gun season in West Virginia. And so the Monday is opening day. It doesn't start on a Saturday, it starts on a Monday. It's a holiday in West Virginia. Schools are closed the entire week of Thanksgiving in West Virginia, so everybody has off to hunt or do whatever. So the Sunday before, just kind of our kickoff dinner, we would have a big steak dinner with, baked potato and all the fixings and everything else. And this one particular year, it was unseasonably warm, 65, 75 degrees at 3:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. So we're like, we're going to eat outside. You just don't get this opportunity very much. So steaks on the grill. We got a couple tables out there. the camp at that time looks different than what you guys are going to see, because at the time we had a trailer and porch and stuff in the front. Now we have a house, but and I can explain that later. But so anyway, we've got all the tables out, and we're all sitting down, we're eating, and this truck pulls up, and some guys get out of the truck, and man, they start. We're eating. We're actually right in the middle of dinner, and they just start talking to us. Hey, man, what a great day, beautiful day, great season. All this stuff is going to be fantastic. And we didn't really engage in much because we were in our dinner. There's probably 12 of us. And finally, he was like, all right. Well, listen, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. I knew you were going to let us hunt. No big deal. We just wanted to come up here and ask permission to hunt. We're good. So we'll be in here this week. And everybody just kind of stopped. And my dad said, what did you say? And he said, yeah. We'll be in here. We'll be in here tomorrow, and this week hunting. My dad's like, no, there's no hunting. This is private property. And what do you mean? I can't believe that. Why won't you let us hunt? My dad said, well, I'll tell you what, $1,000 a piece. You guys fork over $1,000 a piece and you can hunt. What are you talking about? My dad's like, well, listen, all these guys here, they've been down here working all year, cutting, back then we built tree stands. We didn't hang tree stands, built tree stands. We've been clearing lanes, shooting lanes, clearing trails, mowing. We've got property taxes, electric. We've got all this food and everything else. Everybody down here has paid big money, paid money in sweat equity. And we figured since you show up the day before hunting season, $1,000 would catch you up right now. And they're like, man, this is a bunch of crap. You can't even find. He said, I've been hunting up in here my whole life, and you can't even find a freaking place to hunt. My dad just kind of interrupted him and said, no, listen, I've been hunting down here since the 70s. I've owned this place since 84, and I've never seen you in my life. But he said, let me tell you something. He said, I had a dream. Okay, and this is my dad's I had a dream speech. I had a dream. One night, I had a dream that I worked really hard. I saved up my money, and I bought myself a piece of property. And on that property, I was able to take my sons and my friends and teach them about the woods and the nature and all the animals, and we could hunt in a safe, controlled environment, just for our family. And he said, and you know what? And that guy said, what? He goes, you weren't in that fucking dream. He said, no hunting. Take care. We're eating dinner. And everybody, and here's the funny, we were kind of stunned. We just kind of stopped, And so they get in their truck and they back out and everything's still quiet. We're talking like 60 seconds. And then one guy said, starts crying. So just kind of that's just one that gets, we talk about that story all the time,
That's a good one.
You weren't in that dream. That's my dad's I had a dream. Not the way the original one went. So
I love
man, the cojones on those guys come in there and just, holy cow, are you serious?
Well, I'll give them credit. They're probably better than most, because most of them probably would have showed up that morning and just went in. Yeah, we've, I was with my dad. I was probably 10 years old, and we come walking around the flat, and my dad had built this. This is when you find a split tree, take your 2x2s, put them up there, and then build you a platform up there. And my dad, we were walking around the hill. My dad's like, boy, I love that tree stand. I think it's in a great spot. We come around, there's a guy sitting up in it. He's sitting in a tree stand. We have no idea who the guy is. And my dad's like, excuse me. He wasn't going to get too confrontational because I was with him and he had a gun. My dad's like, what are you doing? Well, I shot a deer and I'm over here looking for it. He's like, he's not up in that effing tree, is he? He said, get down here. And, all right, I'm getting down. And we started walking out the hill, and they got sit back down. My dad kind of said, listen, we're not leaving until you get down. And so, but I mean, that's just, it's not bad now though. We don't have that big a problem now. For whatever reason, maybe the words got out that my dad's a little nuts at times. He's an old school Marine. So, that word can kind of get out, but I don't think there's as many people hunting as what there used to be. And so I think that to our benefit, it's personally that's a benefit, but overall it's not. There's just not as many people hunting as there used to be, and in some ways that helps, but in some ways it doesn't. So, so
can't wait to meet him. That's a great couple stories, Scott. Appreciate that, and
he's a character.
And you're getting us fired up for West Virginia I mean, Andy, 2 weeks from tomorrow morning, we'll be hunting
I know, that's crazy. Crazy,
West
crazy.
Virginia for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope we all have fun. I hope the weather's decent. You know, the weather can change. You know, actually next week, Wednesday through Saturday, they're calling for rain down here, which is good.
Okay.
Leading up to the first day. First day in West Virginia is the 27th. That's the opening day of bow season. So you guys will be coming in the tail end of the first week, you know, into the second week. So, you know, probably should be still some summer patterns and not a lot shifted yet. So I still got one bachelor group running around together. They haven't even broken up. So
Nice.
they're thick as thieves, man. There's 5 of them running together still. So
Yeah, I'm gonna hunt off the deck. I saw that video was
That's
taken.
Evan's. That's Evan's spot. Sorry.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
That's true.
So
But well, we're looking really, really forward to it, man. Can't wait. I do have a rapid fire segment I'm gonna hit you with if you're ready for it.
I'm ready. I already got.
Nobody's failed this yet, but
Well,
it happened.
I'm from West Virginia. You never know.
All right, favorite beverage.
I actually I'm a tea guy, not a coffee guy. I love Tim Hortons half cut tea. That's what I like. They're half sweet, half unsweet. I can't handle the sweet stuff, the all sweet stuff. I love a good Tim Hortons tea. But if not, it's a red oak beer. So, and there'll be some of that in deer camp too.
Rock and roll. Your favorite venison or wild game recipe.
I tell you what, I was actually in a doctor's office and pulled this recipe out of I was in a doctor's office, saw this recipe probably 20 years ago. I just opened the book, tore it right out and took it home with me. I said, this is going to be a good one. So it's just straight up deer chili. However you make deer chili, you put it in a big casserole dish, put cheese over top of it, and then put cornbread over top of that. It is good.
My man.
It is really, really good. A close second would just be tenderloins over a grill. But chili, cornbread, and cheese, man, it's hard to beat that all in one.
You're speaking my language. We're gonna be bow hunting. What bow are you gonna be shooting when we're down there next?
I've got an older bow. It's a PSC Dream Season Evo. So
I remember those.
yes, it's probably got it in 2012, somewhere in that range. When you get a good deal, and you know, it's kind of hard to let something go. You got a good deal. I got too many things I want to buy. You know, bow was high on the list, and then you drive up and you hop onto a face-off e-bike, and you're like, well, that's 2 Matthews bows right there. So yeah. So I'll probably get a new bow here in the next year or two, but I'll have my PSC when you guys are down here.
Okay, and I have to say that those face-off e-bikes are probably worth 4 Matthews bows. They're ridiculous. You rode them. You rode them.
Oh, they're fantastic. The test is going to be the West Virginia hills when they,
no problem.
And
no problem.
And
no problem.
wrecking the bike won't hurt it. It won't hurt it.
That's going to be the test. The bike will do the hill, but wrecking the
yes. I can't wait. So,
all right, food, water, or cover. Can only pick one.
Cover.
Love it. Favorite habitat tool or implement. We already covered that one earlier, so I'll skip that. Your favorite tree, and I know it's not the tree of heaven.
No, it is not the tree of heaven. I love a Colorado blue spruce. I think that's just a good looking tree. I mean, you can't beat oaks, you can't beat the oaks when they're dropping right now. But as far as the tree to look at, and we don't have a lot of pines or anything like that in West Virginia. We just don't have a lot of it. I go out west when I hunt my cousins and cedars all over the place, and he hates them. I'm like, I love them. I'll take some back with me. He's like, don't do that. You don't want these stupid things. But I love the Colorado blue spruce. I think they're just a pretty tree.
That might be a new one, Scott. I love it. Yeah, beautiful tree for sure.
Yeah.
I'm a big spruce fan, so. Well, all right, you passed, and you didn't give me crap on the rapid fire questions like our buddy Jordan did. So you pass. Well done. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. If anybody else wants to follow along with what you're doing, go ahead and plug anything you got going on, and people can keep tagging along.
My Instagram and Facebook is just my name, Scott Limer. But I did start an Instagram channel or page, a buckhorn game at Habitat Management. Just all I'm doing is just chronicle along what I'm doing. It's a good way to record keep and have a little fun with it. Kind of gets my girls involved a little bit too, because they're kids are all social media kings. So they they'll help me out with a few things here and there. So, but really it's buckhorn game and habitat management. I think it's just MG. I don't even think management's all the way spelled out, but I don't know exactly what it is. Do it one time, kids help me do it and kind of move on, but I'm just putting pictures on there, I think you saw some, putting turkey poults that I got on the trail camera on there and putting my plots and things like that on there. So that's really all it's for. Just a way to chronicle it. So that's it.
Very nice. Well, hey, well done on your first episode of the Habitat Podcast. You did phenomenal.
First podcast
And,
ever. First podcast.
Oh, even better.
All right.
Even better. See,
First
that's what I like about this show is the people we get to meet from the community we have here. And then it's just normal guys like you and me and Andy trying to do what we do. And it's great to hear your story. So thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, appreciate it, Andy. I'll tell you a funny story about that. I was telling my daughter. She's the one that calls the Marco Polo my habitat support group. I told her I was talking to her on the way home here. I said, I'm going to be on a podcast tonight. She's like, why? Toughest critics are right here in the house.
Yep.
So appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you 2 weeks, buddy.
Thank you for tuning in to the Habitat Podcast. We really do appreciate you guys coming back every week to get this awesome Habitat content. And we would appreciate it if you went to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us continue to grow and trend in the right direction, attract new listeners, and help us provide better content in the future. Guys, we have a website full of resources. We have a blog on the website. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all linked up at habitatpodcast.com. Our land plan services, merchandise, decals, hats, t-shirts, and I give away a free 5-inch decal to anyone who leaves us a review on Apple iTunes. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our partners, Downburst Cedars, Vitalize Seed Company, Morse Nursery, Packer Max Cultipackers, Stealth Outdoors, First Light Latitude Outdoors, United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties. Thanks again, guys. We'll be back next week with another great episode of the Habitat Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.